Hi everyone, Coldam here with another VOX Immortalis commentary guide. This video is for the general Vezax encounter, the second to last encounter in Old War Normal. This fight has a number of gimmicks. The first one to know is that General will only attack you by himself. There's no adds to deal with on normal. He hits extremely hard on the tank, so healing needs to be solid, and the tank needs to have decent gear. And the main ability that people need to get used to is his Aura of Despair, which is on everyone all the time when you start the fight. And it basically prevents normal forms of mana regeneration. Spirit doesn't work, MP5 doesn't work, attacking as a paladin for wisdom procs doesn't work, evocation doesn't work. The only exception are abilities that regen mana in order for that particular class to deal damage. So Rep Paladins get mana from judging, Shamans get it from Shamanistic Rage, and I think Hunters can get it from their aspect. Other than that, you don't get to regen anything. Replenishments and such don't work. So it's a balance of maintaining your mana from healing and dealing damage, and keeping the tank alive. This is a very long fight. When we first started doing it, it took us just over 9 minutes to complete. And as we get better and our gear improves, we're getting that down and down to 7 or so and below. At any rate, you should be prepared for it to go on for a long time and get a pattern going. So as you can see, there's a few things that we do in this fight. The next ability that you should watch for is Shadow Crash. That targets a random raid member, and it tries to target someone out of melee range. If there are enough available targets out of melee range, it seems to be 3 people in 10-man for us. If there's 3 people out of melee range, it'll target someone outside of melee. And it's a slow projectile. When it lands, it deals AE damage and leaves a black puddle. Standing in this puddle increases magic damage by 100%, decreases your casting speed, and it also reduces mana cost and your healing output by 75%. So this is basically where all your ranged casters need to stand full time in order to deal damage throughout the fight and not run out of mana. So they need to watch for the clouds and not get hit by the Shadow Crash projectile. The other thing to watch for is Mark of the Faceless, which is a random ranged target ability. It doesn't do anything to the player it targets, but anyone within range of that person, around 10 yards I think, will take damage over time, and more importantly, it will heal the general based on the amount of damage it deals. So it's important people stay spread out, and if someone gets the Mark of the Faceless debuff, they need to move away from everyone else quickly so that he doesn't get healed. So those are the things range need to watch for. Our strategy, as you see here, our healers primarily stay in melee range full time, and that's because of his last ability, Surge of Darkness, which he just used there, increases his damage output by 100%, but snares him. So it's obviously meant to be kited. Some classes can tank through it if you use cooldown rotations. It happens every 60 seconds, but I choose to kite it as a warrior. Because of that setup, our healers follow him when he's getting kited, and I kite him toward a Sarnite Vapor, the yellow mobs you see floating around the room. When a Sarnite Vapor is killed, and they only have about 10,000 health, so it's real easy for the tank to kill them, it drops a green puddle of Sarnite Vapors on the ground. This is how you regen mana in this fight. If you stand in that Vapor, every second you'll get a stacking debuff that deals damage per the stack count. So the first stack is 200, second stack deals 400 damage, then 800, and so on. When you exit the Vapors after getting your stack up, you will take the damage that would have been dealt based on your stack count, and you'll regain mana equal to half the damage that was dealt to you. So our healers jump in and out of it, and usually they leave it about 6 or 7 stacks. This is around 6 to 12,000 damage, and then half that in mana. If they repeat that a couple times per cloud, it's a decent amount of mana, and that's basically how they maintain the fight. It's important to note that ranged casters usually don't get to use the green clouds in our strategy, because that would have too many people in melee range. But as long as they're in the black clouds when they're DPSing, it shouldn't be a problem. So basically, we repeat this kiting strategy every 60 seconds when he gets his surge buff. We kill a new cloud at that 60-second point, healers get mana back, and repeat the process. The last debuff, or excuse me, the last cast you need to watch for is an interrupted ability called Searing Flames. If it's allowed to land, it deals damage to everyone, but more importantly, armor by 75% for a short while. So if this lands and is not interrupted by a melee, usually the tank will need to use a cooldown to survive while the armor is reduced. But usually our rogue interrupts them just fine, and that works great for us. So that's pretty much the strategy with this setup. It's possible to have healers not in melee range full time. This just happened to be the winning strategy for us, and we've stuck with it. But they can obviously stand outside of melee range. They just have to avoid the shadow crashes and watch for Mark of Faceless casts. But otherwise, the same principles apply. It's important that your healers don't stand in the black clouds, since that reduces healing output by 75%. So they shouldn't try to take advantage of that. And that's pretty much it. This particular fight was one of the more difficult ones for us to learn. It took us a few hours to kind of get a strategy down. And as I mentioned, the kill time on this is quite long, even once you get used to the fight and your damage is getting better. So get a good pattern. We use 3 healers and 1 tank for this, but 2 healers is possible if you're decent. That's it. Thanks for watching.